Thank you so much, Paul. And reading from the Foreword, if you wanted to follow along, Doug asked me to write the Foreword some time ago, and I was very honored to do so. In the early afternoon of August 25th, 2010, as my son Emilio and I were driving east through Malibu Canyon, we learned that 3 dear and close friends had been involved in a terrible accident on nearby Mulholland Drive. We turned around immediately and arrived at the scene about an hour after the accident to discover that Sister Mary Campbell had been killed instantly and that Monsignor John Sheridan and Doug Kmiec, the driver, had been taken to UCLA Medical Center, both in critical condition. John Sheridan died as a result of his injuries 3 weeks later. Thus began a long and steep spiral into the depths of personal grief, guilt, and depression, accompanied by unimaginable suffering for Doug and his wife Carol. Under the circumstances, one could not be expected to return to an active public life, particularly someone with such a high public profile and impeccable reputation. Perhaps the best expectations might be a safe return to family and hearth, to heal and reflect, but such is not what Doug Kmiec expected of himself. On the contrary, within a month of his convalescence, he returned to Malta to resume his post as U.S. ambassador, and soon enough he organized and directed the perilous evacuation of all U.S. Embassy personnel from Tripoli to Malta at the height of the fighting in Libya. Recounted here, along with his own perilous journey since August 25th, in this extraordinary work, lift up your hearts. While the far-reaching ramifications of the accident which took the lives of 2 of his closest friends has not diminished, far from it, Doug's personal recovery on every conceivable level since then, physical as well as spiritual, is both remarkable and inspiring. Even a general reader being introduced to the story's trio here for the first time will find the book packed with inspirational moments and insights transferable to your own, hopefully, lesser challenges. Still in his hospital bed, I encourage Doug to write his history. After all, Doug had been a public man since his old-line Daily Democrat father took him as a young boy on his appointed rounds in the wards and precincts of Chicago. Quote, "It was at the kitchen table of these humble bungalows where Dad was luminously persuasive, securing the fractional landslide for JFK," unquote. Asked about the rumors Kennedy won the presidency with cemetery votes, Doug winks and with the son's impish pride laconically declares, quote, "Just further proof, I suppose, of Christ's victory over death, assuming you were a Democrat, of course." But machine politics was not to be Doug's path. Indeed, the independence of mind, which has yielded his latter-day political party swapping, would one suspects have distressed his late father. Quote, "Dad took it personally whenever a constituent failed to pull the lever for a straight ticket," unquote. Doug says with a faraway fondness for his father, who died only weeks before the accident. No, Doug's life journey has been anything but straight or ordinary, and for now, Doug has declined my suggestion of an autobiography in order to center this volume on his lost friends and the faith they sustained within him. Nevertheless, there is enough of the personal here to hope that this is the first, not a final volume. The book reveals a very special friendship Monsignor Sheridan and Doug maintained, and confirmed what Doug described as his, quote, "moral obligation to write a book to illustrate with gratitude how so much of my public and private life has been and continues to be influenced by the brilliant mind and gentleness of Monsignor John Sheridan. He and Sister Mary Campbell enriched my life and those of so many others beyond measure," unquote. Yes, they did, and Doug's account serves an additional purpose for anyone failing to understand what is sacrificed in the church by the dark shadows of priestly abuse scandals and contemporary declines in vocation. A biopic is being produced by a respected indie film producer on the life of Monsignor, and the homiletic and personal correspondence Doug incorporates from Monsignor make this volume an essential companion. Yet the most valuable dividend he generously chooses to share with us from the tragedy is that of redemptive suffering, which is his constant focus. It is not Doug's intention to offer a scholarly explanation or even to claim a definitive personal understanding of the mystery of human suffering, because such an effort would prove useless in either case. What Doug accomplishes in this book is powerful because it is honest. Unlike many well-intentioned offerings aimed at running us through glib express line of drive-through exercises to overcome grief. Doug asks us not to expect a shortcut. While Doug illustrates how deep personal suffering may be capable of being masked for a while, it is better to embrace grief head-on within the complex mystery of faith. Only then does grief serve its intended divine purpose, a clearer, more self-assured way forward in the life that remains. In the absence of the gift of suffering, I suspect that I would have indefinitely floated upon the surface of the moment, unquote. This outrageous acceptance of suffering as a gift enlarges the mystery, even turns it on its head, and creates endless possibilities. Gift implies gratitude. Ah, there's the rub. We are invited to accept the cup as offered, not altered. And Doug assures us with confidence that through redemptive suffering, loss is gain and surrender is victory. And it is by these sure means that our hearts are lifted up. Finally, as a parting gift, Doug invites us to bear witness to his mano-a-mano challenge with the devil himself. Notre Dame enthusiasts will luxuriate in Doug's obvious continued devotion to Our Lady's University, where he taught for a third of his life. Doug's fighting Irish dispatched the devil far easier than those Petaphorus Trojans. This clever and satirical chapter achieves the desired effect with wit and wisdom, but above all, it serves to remind us that while his personal losses have been numerous and grave, they do not include his remarkable sense of humor.